All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar number 7 of 16. And today I'm going to be joined by Bern and Andrew and my colleague, Alanisa, and we're going to be hearing the presentation on multimodal sensing systems for improved productivity and safety in cave mines. And we're really looking forward to hearing this presentation as this is one of our 16 approved MICA projects. And you can see from this list here that today we're going to be listening to the Center for Innovation in Mineral Resource Engineering. We're going to be recording the presentation, of course, and also we'll be giving you links to contact Andrew and Bern as well. So for those of you who may be interested in this open call for proposals that's open right now, you can actually just take a picture of the screen here, the Sierra code. You can actually use this code to be able to link to the call for proposal process. Okay, so without any further ado, I'd like to hand over the floor to Bern and Andrew, who are going to present to us on the multimodal sensing system for improved productivity and safety in cave mines. Please, gentlemen, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Charles. SIMRI is both an incubator for innovative research, as well as an accelerator for its commercialization. Our model involves spinning out new startup companies to carry the intellectual property into the market, and we need industry support at the early stages to provide leverage funding for joint industry academic research collaboration and investment dollars at the later stages to fund the spin out. Thanks very much to MICA for your contribution. We currently support a wide range of research in collaboration with ICARN, the International Caving Research Network at the University of British Columbia's Institute of Mining Engineering. ICARN is a multidisciplinary research network formed at the University of British Columbia that promotes an end-to-end approach to improve the productivity of block and panel cave mines. The research network includes a group of representatives from industry and academia, covering the fields of geology, cave mining, geomechanics, and mineral processing. At SIMRI, we call our core project the healthy mine, and we look at the challenge through the dual lens of both safety and productivity. We've identified a set of problems and challenges that can be addressed under the Healthy Mine project. Two of these are immediate problems in the growing business of block caving and are widely referred to as mud rush and rock bursts, respectively. We are actively researching the causes and effects of these phenomena and building sensor-based solutions to monitor caving conditions with a view to averting these conditions if possible and alerting if not. The first product in our pipeline is the mud rush solution, which is the subject of this presentation, and the project with MICA, which will be in beta during the first quarter of 2023, and we hope to be piloting it in situ before the end of 2023. Bern Klein, my partner here, is a professor at UBC and a member of ICARN, as well as a director of SIMRI. Previous collaboration between SIMRI directors, including Bern and me, and Dr. Bamber, who's not here today, led to the formation of MindSense Technologies Limited, a leader in the commercialization of sensor-based sorting systems for the mining industry. Bern is a recognized leader in a variety of topics in the mining industry and will deliver the rest of the SIMRI presentation today, but I'll be around for questions. Thanks. Over to you, Bern.
Bern, you're muted. Please kindly unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry about that.
There you go. No problem.
Okay, so yes, thanks for the introductions. I'm going to, re-stress some of the points that Andrew just had described when he referred to SIMRI. And we're going to focus on the one specific technology today, and that's the mud rush sensor. Okay, so a brief outline. I'm going to reiterate a little bit of what Andrew said. What is SIMRI? Talk to you a little bit about the Healthy Mine and how it links to ICARN, this research cluster that Andrew referred to, and what the plans are for this mud rush detector. And then we'll have a little summary of our plans looking forward and open it up to questions. Okay, so as Andrew described, I'll go through this relatively quickly. CIMRI is the Center for Innovation in Mineral Resources Engineering. It's an independent, not-for-profit that was incorporated in 2017. CIMRI aims to establish, coordinate, support research and education consortia, develops industrial and funding relationships to support product development and commercialization. It focuses on closing the talent gap in mining through collaborations and projects with technology developers and providers, as well as end users and researchers. Also through CIMRI, there's training of the next generation of technical and entrepreneurial talent. We want to validate the research of research groups through the application and development of technologies, and then lead that through to commercialization and generation of IP. So some programs, one of them is ICARN, which Andrew had described. It's the International Caving Research Network. This is a group formed out of UBC, but not only with UBC. It's in collaboration with companies. It has geotechnical engineers, rock mechanics engineers, mining engineers, process engineers, experts in rheology and flow of slurries, which is fundamental to what we're going to talk about today. We really focus on improving our ore body knowledge in terms of characterizing cave deposits so that we have a better understanding of how to control and operate them and reduce the risks. And the Healthy Mine is a particular initiative that really focuses on both the safety as well as the productivity of block cave mines. And this research cluster, ICARN, it was formed out of a group of people who recognize that block cave mining will become increasingly important in the future. When you look at a place like British Columbia, we have one existing, but there's at least 3 others that are being planned, 3 other additional block cave mines. And globally, it's also going to become increasingly important, particularly for low-grade deposits at depth. But there are risks associated with that, and that's what the Healthy Mine focuses on. So the Healthy Mine is a safe mine. It's a profitable mine. With respect to safety, there's opportunity for real-time detection and alerting of safety conditions, such as rock bursts or mud rush. And the intent is that we can use sensing systems and take that information in real time to support understanding of safety risks. Also, the information that we try to collect supports the profitability of the mine by operating and reporting information using sensing systems that is then processed in order to generate valuable information for the mine operators. Okay, so what is the burning issue? Well, this little video is a good example of a mud rush. And you can see it's a pretty aggressive event, a major concern for any block cave or panel cave mines. It leads to loss of productivity. Definitely there's a safety hazard associated with this type of an event where people have lost their lives in the past. There's also loss of equipment. Often equipment is buried. So, in this case, what causes it? A buildup of fine materials that are generated in the cave. There's mixing that takes place and fragmentation of material, and there's preferential flows. And when you build up a fines component and add water to it, you change the way that material can flow. And you can, by disturbing it with, for example, a loader trying to collect the material, the material liquefies and flows, as you see in this video here. So it's an important issue. And so operators, of course, would love to be able to understand when there is a risk. So what is our mud rush detector comprised of? So multimodal, multispectral draw point sensing system. And really, it's, what are we trying to sense? Based on knowledge and experience of operators of caves where they have these types of events, they typically monitor what the fines content of the material at the draw point is. And they do that relatively qualitatively, high, medium, or low. Moisture levels, when there's a significant amount of moisture, but there's also a lot of observations made by operators of these mines. For example, if they see moisture seeping through the surface, it's of lower risk. If they see significant moisture but no seepage, that triggers the potential risk of a mud rush. And another factor is the mineral composition. Is there a particular mineral, a clay, for example, or something that's finely ground, like a sericite, a softer component of the rock, that can contribute to this? And so, our selection of the parameters that we are detecting is really based on a fundamental knowledge of the rheology or the flow of these materials. The information collected will report to cloud-hosted algorithms, which can then be used in order to be able to predict risk of a draw point. The information can be collected in real time with online sensors, and that information can also be used for a fusion of information for reporting and alerts. So we see that not only does it detect the risk, but it also has the opportunity to collect valuable information quantitatively as compared to qualitatively, as is the present practice. So looking forward, year one, we're focusing on the proof of concept by putting together a desktop sensing and computing system that will allow us to collect the information that we're seeking. In year two, we'll develop a prototype multimodal sensor for hopefully at a sponsor's site. That's the intent. Working together with a sponsor will help to validate the effectiveness of this system. Also in year two, we will develop the hardware and software. And in year three, we plan field trials where we will interface our sensors through cloud-hosted algorithms in order to be able to assess the function of the system that we've developed. Okay, so what kind of support are we looking for? Well, we'd like feedback. Of course, funding allows us to develop and apply, and particularly to research the fundamentals behind this mud rush issue. In-kind support, we want to work with ore samples, particularly ore samples that were collected during a mud rush event. So what are the mineral characteristics? What were the moisture content? Any documentation that an operation has about any mud rush events. And of course, we'd like to get access to a pilot site for testing of the system. Okay, thank you. And we're open for questions.
All right, thank you so much. If you could put maybe your first slide up, that'd be cool, with your contact details on it. We can also have that available on the screen there. So again, thank you for the presentation. So I guess, the first question I have is, in terms of implementing your solution, I know you're still doing a bit of R&D, advanced R&D on it. What is the time frame for you to be able to do an evaluation of a site? If you got the samples and you got all the feedback necessary, what is the time frame to implement it into an industrial setting?
So let me jump in there. The research has been ongoing for quite some time, and it forms a very impressive background of analytics that we can draw on for product development purposes and for building machine learning models that can work with the samples that we're hoping to get from mine sites now. The benchtop prototype is under development, and we're hoping to complete that to a satisfactory TRL level within the next quarter. assuming that we're successful with that and don't have any setbacks, the next step will be, as we continue to perfect that, to look for opportunities to test it on site at a partner site. So we hope to be out there with a working prototype within 2023, and to thereafter commercialize within the next year and a half into a replicable, manufacturable device that can interface with on-site communication systems to deliver telemetry on a real-time or near real-time basis from actual draw points in mine sites.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Yeah, and I guess my next question is, a lot of the mining companies that we speak to, they always sort of say, what is the business case, right? And I mean, clearly I understand there's a safety component to the technology, but if someone was to ask you to explain, maybe in the return on investment on working with you on the solution, how would you answer that question?
Well, there's a number of different points at which support can arrive to intercept the trajectory of this commercialization process. There's always going to be additional research that can be conducted, and the research can be supported with industry dollars to very good effect because we have very good leverage available in Canada. So it's always a way. And the commercialization process at CIMRI will be implemented most likely through a spin-out company, which will need investment in its early days to get it going, and then additional investment to scale it up when the time comes to industrialize the product. The companies or entities that get involved, if it's a mining company, one of the benefits that they can experience is influence over the development of the product to best suit their requirements. So they'll get a product in the end, and early access to a product on a preferential basis that actually meets their needs. It's not just something off the shelf. So early investment in the product development process brings some benefits to that investor.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Maybe could I just add to that a little bit?
Please.
Yeah, this is a burning issue for block cave mines all over the world. And the cost to them of having a mud rush is something that they try to avoid with a huge amount of effort and significant cost. The information that you get out of this system can help them to develop strategies for how they draw down their cave mines. What is, should they be drawing more from one draw point than another in order to avoid this risk? So the costs are significant, and they need information in order to be able to help manage that risk. So,
gotcha. All right. My next question is about just the presence or the prevalence of block caving mines in Canada. Maybe if you can help us to understand better just the market potential for this technology here in Canada. Can you maybe give us an idea on how many block caving mines there are, or even better, globally, where are some of the areas that you think you could be targeting for your solution?
Yeah, I can talk to that. So we know that, for example, copper is a critical mineral or critical metal, and that the main deposits that we mine are these large scale copper porphyry deposits, and we have a number of them in British Columbia. At surface, we're finding fewer and fewer of such deposits, but we are finding that same type of mineralization at depth. But to mine these types of deposits, you need low-cost bulk mining methods, and block cave mining is the only suitable method. So at present in Canada, as far as I'm aware, the only block cave mine we have is the New Afton mine in Kamloops. But under development, Red Chris is developing their block cave. And there's also other planned block caves for British Columbia to mine these types of deposits at depth. So there's the Quantica deposit, as well as in the Golden Triangle, there's another project underway. Globally, most of the block caves are in different parts of the world. Australia has a number of them. Chile has a number of them. They're looking at Peru in the future. Indonesia, which one of our research sponsors is Freeport Indonesia. They operate block cave mines. most of the big companies, the senior mining companies, are very closely looking at block cave as being their mining method of the future in order to develop these types of deposits. So
yeah, more generally, it's well known that activity is going underground in search of higher quality deposits. So there's a definite growth trajectory for this kind of technology and this kind of product all around the world. And furthermore, to accelerate early adoption, perhaps Bern, you can say a few words about the applicability of these approaches, not just to cave mining, but to slope stability applications and similar.
That's true. Yeah. This is, I guess I've described it as fundamentally based on rheology. And so the parameters that we are sensing, fines content, moisture content, mineralogy, they're fundamental to any type of debris flow. It could be tailings, in order to be able to understand if there is a tailings dam breach or a tailings dam failure, how that material would flow. So the fundamental rheological approach that we're taking here is not only applied to block caves, but it could also be applied to tailings at least. Okay,
that's pretty cool. So you can actually apply this technology to tailings dams and so be able to predict better their stability and failure mechanisms. Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
That makes me wonder whether you guys have any other products in the pipeline.
Yeah, so the healthy mine is the overarching project descriptor under which we're developing in a pipeline of activity, starting with research, leading to the curation of packages of intellectual property that can then be commercialized via spinout. And the MudRush, the so-called MudRush detector or predictor, is only the first in a series of similar products, all based on the idea of collecting real-time information and analyzing that real-time information to produce useful safety and productivity-oriented information for the real-time operation of a mine. The next one in the pipeline is likely to be a rock burst detector predictor, again with both a safety and a productivity orientation in mind. And we're not saying too much about that yet. It's a little earlier in the pipeline. It's not at the commercialization stage yet, but everything we do is likely to fit somehow into the notion of the healthy mine.
Yeah. And we're also very interested in, for these block cave mines, everything that's mined goes to the surface and is sent through the processing plant. These deposits at surface in open pit mines, they develop block models where they divert waste to waste dumps and ore to the processing plant, but they have no selectivity or opportunity for selectivity within block cave mines. So, some of the ICARN research is really focusing on, can we integrate sensors to monitor the quality of the ore that's underground? So there are other areas that we're developing.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Yeah, I do have maybe two more questions to go here before we end. My next question is, when a mud rush event happens in a mine, is there a requirement under mining regulations for it to be reported?
Absolutely. Yeah, I unfortunately, we had a mud rush event at the New Afton mine a couple of years ago, resulted in a fatality. So these are considered high risk or high impact safety risks. So yes, there is a need to report, and there's also I think a broad willingness for companies to share the information so that they can learn from each other.
Okay, thank you for that.
I have a question. Sorry, Charles.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So who at the mine is the best person to speak to regarding the solution that you guys have?
I would say the mine manager.
Gotcha.
Because they have within the mine, they have the mine manager, but of course, he's going to be most concerned with the overall safety of the operation, but they have groups in mine planning, geotechnical departments who are also very concerned about the risk of mud rush. So
yeah, I'm also happy to engage with anyone in the C-suite who has concerns over safety and liability, as well as the finance side of the business, because these events are catastrophic, both in terms of the potential for loss of human life, as well as for the economic productivity of a mine. When you have a mud rush event, it clogs up that draw point possibly forever, and it requires a huge reorientation of the processes at the mine. It's a big deal.
Awesome. All right. Well, so I thank both Dr. Klein and Dr. Singer for this presentation, and really appreciate that you guys are working towards making mines safer. And you know what? If we can make mines safer, you know what? I think we should do everything possible to ensure that people go back home safe after a good day's work. But thank you again for your presentation. I'm going to stop recording now, and looking forward to reconnecting with you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles, and thanks to MICA for your support.
yeah, thank you.
Most welcome. Thank you.